We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.
Remember I said the same thing. You know, when I said Rashford, I remember people were sending messages here abusing when I said Rashford. Now none of them are coming to say when I said Rashford was the real deal this season.
For them, I actually told you off air. I'll come out and say, because actually when he banged in another brace over the week, I thought Femi actually said, but I thought you were being ironic then, But
I remember I saw him play. And I thought the way he was playing was good. There was something different about him. I know, that's it. But before we get into England, today we're going to let's start with Germany. Because if you look through all the leagues, right, I know people say, the Premier League is very competitive, but watch the German Bundesliga.
Top 5 covered by 4 points?
Yeah.
Is Bayern, do you have the league tables? Bayern
is still top, yes.
By virtue of goals difference?
Yes.
Wow.
That's the only difference. Everybody, after 21 games played, the top 3 are tied on the same number of points.
How many points does Bayern have?
43. Dortmund, 43. Union Berlin, 43.
Wow.
Right? Freiburg is in 4th. They've got 40 points.
Wow.
That's the top 4.
Who's in 5th?
5th is RB Leipzig, 39 points. Leipzig have started this new year in a very good way. Right? They've beaten teams like, doesn't matter. They've even drawn with Bayern. Now, Bayern has not been playing very well since the start of this new year. Right? I think the first 2 games they drew, they got their first win in the cup game. It wasn't, even the last week when they won, it was not a very convincing result. Now they took on Borussia Mönchengladbach this weekend. It was a game on Saturday. And the first thing that happened in that game was a red card for Dayo Upamecano. Now there's been questions, was it a red card? Shouldn't have been a red card. But what people couldn't deny was, first, there was contact. And Upamecano this season has been suspect. This season he's been very suspect. And immediately, Mönchengladbach just took advantage. Stindl, Thuram, they all got Hoffman. They got goals, 3 goals. Bayern tried, came back once, but couldn't. Then they finished off 3-2. And the manager was furious, Julian Nagelsmann. He was furious, was screaming, practically was screaming that what's going on. And I think the first thing he needs to understand is that, look, your team is not playing well. Bayern are not playing very well. They're doing chop and change. And Bayern has personnel. They've got players everywhere. Gnabry, Sané, Mane. You can call all the names of all the players. Thomas Muller. But generally, I think he's just not found the thing to make them complete the season. Now, the minimum will be to win the league. The maximum will be to do better in the Champions League, which they've done one over PSG in the first leg. So, second leg is one match.
It was a goal to nil.
Goal to nil away from home. Now, the fact is that then Sunday, because Dortmund played in the Europa League, right? Sorry, in the Champions League. And then Union Berlin played in the Europa League. So practically they had their games on Sunday. Now both of these teams had mixed results. Dortmund beat their opponent by 4 goals to 1.
4-1,
It was Roy scored a free kick. Bellingham was
absolutely brilliant free kick.
Bellingham bossed that game. For a 19-year-old, for as young as he is really leading that team. And for me, there's a lot of promise around him. Now
he's a vice captain now.
Oh yes. Union Berlin drew. So that's the reason why Berlin couldn't go ahead, tabletop, but they drew. So that took them down to 3rd because Dortmund won, goals difference separating the 3 sides. Bayern has got plus 40, Dortmund has got plus 17, Union is plus 11. They're all on 43. Now, what makes it exciting is this weekend, Bayern Union Berlin. That's the game to watch out for.
Yeah, it is. And do you know there was a time Union Berlin were like streets ahead, then they fell away, started losing, and it was like, they were out of the race. But they've stormed right back, and that's really, really impressive. And they're doing well in Europe as well.
They're doing very well.
Yeah, they're doing very well in Europe.
It's a team that has improved. Last year, Taiwan Winnie was the top scorer.
Yeah.
This year they've got the American Pickford, and he's doing very brilliant.
Doing a good job. So that literally is the closest of the top 5 leagues.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the closest.
That's the closest.
Because in Serie A we have
Napoli are runaway leaders.
16 points?
15 points.
15 points between Napoli and between Napoli and then in La Liga it's 8 points.
8 points.
With Barcelona beating Cadiz 8 points over Real Madrid. In
France is 5 points.
5 points. Is it 5?
Yes, it's 5.
Okay.
Over Marseille. PSG over Marseille. And that's a very interesting story. You mentioned France. PSG took on Lille. That game was like yo-yo game. They were going, even Galtier was screaming. It was that bad that the sporting director had to come down from to the technical point. And, I'm like, if this was in Nigeria, everybody would have been screaming, only happens in the FPFL. The sporting director was practically on the touchline. Like, he was screaming about some of the, I think it was when the penalty was awarded for Leo. They thought it was dubious. So that automatically brought out emotions. But before that game, PSG, anybody that's handling PSG, you have a problem in your hands. Now, after the game to Bayern Munich, Mbappe granted an interview where he said they need to rest, they need to
sleep early and eat right.
Eat right. And then Neymar goes over to
play poker,
and
eat McDonald's.
And then in that weekend, picked up an injury. It's just crazy. PSG is like, they're a team that they need.
In fact, it's not bad that we call Hollywood FC, it's PSG.
PSG has to be. Because, yes, Messi saved them 4-3, they beat Leo. Messi scored the winning free kick.
An amazing free kick.
Yeah, but I think all three of them got into the action. Mbappe got a goal in that game, Neymar obviously, and then got an injury.
I didn't see the game. Apparently, Mbappe scored a superb goal.
Yeah, it was.
In fairness to Mbappe, I mean, say what you will about his prima donna-ishness off the pitch. He delivers on the pitch. But there's one story bubbling away in Spain. If we can go back from France to Spain,
okay.
The payments, alleged payments of Barcelona to the Referees Association of €500,000 every year. It's not, that thing has not been clearly defined, and the story is that they were paying the money so that the referees wouldn't give them negative decisions, that they should just be neutral. They were not paying for favors, but paying that the referees were neutral. Now, I'll tell our listeners something which they might not have been aware of. This was legal up till about 10 years ago in La Liga.
Really?
No, not the payments to the referees, but assuming Real Madrid was playing Cadiz, for instance, and Barcelona was playing towards the end of the league, maybe last couple of games, and Barcelona was playing the Rayo Vallecano, for instance. Real Madrid could give money to Rayo Vallecano to play well against Barcelona. Do you understand? As Annie said, yes, it was legal. They were actually doing it. They were not bribing them to lose. They were essentially saying, guys, put in, it's the last.
Isn't that wrong?
They were doing it.
The morality, isn't that wrong? The morality, is that wrong?
It wasn't, maybe it's against the spirit of the game, but it wasn't illegal.
Because normally, you're supposed to go in and do well. Whether you are...
But they were actually allowed.
Are we asking where our administrators got this thing?
No, they were actually allowed to do that. But this one, if it is proved true, Barcelona are going to be in a world of trouble.
Barcelona came. They use one hand to do a lot of good. Use the other hand to do a lot of bad.
If they can catch them for this, they'll be in a world of pain.
Because Barca this season, right? The whole plan was Champions League. After they got all those players, make a lot of money, clear out some of those levels they put in place, right? And then they fail in the Champions League, go back to the league, concede 3 goals against Real Madrid in one game. Of the 7 goals they've conceded, Real are boasting of 3 of those goals, right? So it means in the last 19, 20 games, they
only considered 4.
So
in 22 games, they still only considered that 7 anyway.
So, and then you're doing so well on the field now, right? They're doing very well because they're playing well, getting results. Pedri, Gavi, Frankie de Jong. Then this story comes out, there's more distractions. There's no way this will not, because even if you win the title this year, it will not.
No, the allegations will be swirling around you.
It will not feel like you earned it. It will feel like, you went through the back door to clean it.
Even the titles they've earned in the past, it's unfortunate when these football giants, and I for one would not allow the allegations against City, the 115 allegations or charges brought by the Premier League.
We don't agree with you on that one. No, we don't agree.
We shouldn't just...
we're sweeping it under the carpet.
We shouldn't sweep it under the carpet.
So in Spain, Barca 22 games played, 59 points. Real Madrid are second with 51 points. They beat Osasuna.
Hold on. 22 games played, 59 points.
Yes.
Wow.
Real Madrid have 51 points. They beat Osasuna.
In the Premier League, Arsenal has played 23 and they've got 52 points. No, Arsenal has 54 points. With 23 games played.
23, yes, 54 points.
So that shows how well Barca is doing. 22 games played, 59
Barca are doing very well. So Barca are doing extremely well.
Yeah, extremely well.
I think only Napoli. Maybe only Napoli.
What's Napoli's points again?
Napoli's zone is 23 games, 62 points.
62 points.
62 points. And they are scoring goals for fun. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it's the same. So it's the same rate. Yeah. Wow.
That just tells you how much, man.
The level, yeah.
That's
But
good.
Arsenal too was at that level before they started dropping, in fairness. Points to game ratio.
Arsenal really had a
PPG.
serious scare as well against Aston Villa.
Oh, Villa. Okay, let's go to the Premier League.
We'll have to go for a break for it.
All right, okay.
Because
When we
we'll
come
start
back,
that.
we'll dissect the Premier
We'll
League.
dissect that.
All right, guys. Abby?
Yes, we're back.
All right.
So we're going to read a few of your messages, just a few of them, before we go through reviewing the Premier League. Right. So let's start off with this. Abiola says, "Good morning, guys. Rashford scored over 20 plus goals when Ole was coach. Uncle Segun just likes to run an agenda."
Yeah, and my agenda, I can't stand Ole. So, yeah, it's clean and clear to everybody. It's not eating.
Okay. Good morning to you all. I have the honor to write to you this morning because Arsenal is back at the top of the table. Those that bad-mouthed us versus when City overthrew us temporarily have been put to shame. My brother, season never finished.
Guy, you know one thing, I have
finish.
nothing against Arsenal Football Club. Now, then temperamental fans, where they do like Momo, now they tire me. Guy, relax. Relax.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.